got the hair.
Hey, how you doing? Welcome to this week's episode. We were talking about different countries just before we started recording. That is why I went into the Fonz. But welcome to...
all of Kyle's sentences have been innuendos by accident already today. You missed about 4 of them, Jay.
I haven't done anything at all.
You just said you went into the Fonz.
I was into the Fonz.
But you were a bit more Joey Tribbiani.
To be fair, if you think about it, the Fonz was so weird because it was a 30 or 40-year-old hanging out with high school kids. That nowadays would just be all sorts of red lights and fucking warnings.
Andy's called Arthur. Nobody's called Arthur before the 60s.
That's unpopped over the board.
Arthur.
There's an Arthur parked over the road from Jay.
There's someone parked in my spot. I can get a fan in there. It's just
He's going Sheldon.
It's my spot.
Someone is parked in my spot, but because obviously I've been at work since 7 o'clock this morning, and it's gonna be asked to park. I've had a nearly hour drive to get home.
When we asked to park, you make it sound like you were just getting out with your fan in the middle of the street and just walking away.
Basically, I have.
Wouldn't surprise us.
Yeah, I would not be surprised, honestly.
Apparently, my street is getting really exciting because, out the back now is a massive fist fight, and
all the back, yeah.
The street, we have a premiere at the bottom of the street. You just go down, turn left onto the main road, turn right, and there's a premiere, and there's a fish shop next door to it, and that's on fire. Or one of the shops now is on fire because there's fire. Now there's a fire engine there before.
Oh, I can come back to fire, but I was going to say, what's special about here is about loads of people pile into the same house on a Friday, and they all get pissed together because they're good friends. Mm-hmm. And then, at some point, it's usually about 1 a.m, they all come outside to have a massive fight and shout and argue with each other and slag each other off.
Oh, that happens
for
daily.
About half an hour, then they all go back into the same house. I don't understand.
That happens daily at our house. They'll party until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. At 4 o'clock in the morning, they'll all come outside having a massive argument. And that argument will go on until 8 o'clock in the morning. Then they'll go in and sleep. But they've got a fucking kid there.
I don't get it when people do that with kids there.
Yeah. I could talk to you about the Great Fire of London since Jay mentioned fire.
Oh, God.
What about the Great Fire of London? Apart from the fact that the posh people basically abandoned the poor people, or just decided it wasn't that serious and then got burned alive in the houses because they were like, it's not that serious, it won't reach across the river. And then it reached across the river.
Yeah, so the Great Fire of London started on the 2nd of September at about 1 a.m, 1666. In Thomas Farriner's bakehouse on Pudding Lane, right? London was reduced to ruin. More than 13,000 houses, 87 churches, and 44 livery halls were destroyed. And the historic city gates were wrecked, and the Guildhall, St Paul's Cathedral, Baynard's Castle, and the Royal Exchange were severely damaged, in some cases beyond repair. So, it lasts 6 days, I think it was, wasn't it? Or was it from the 2nd to the 6th? It was 4 days. It was a few days anyway. However,
I think it was 4 days. I think it was sort of over the course of an extended weekend type thing.
Yeah. So, the Great Fire of London, first of all, did not start on Pudding Lane.
It didn't.
The bakehouse wasn't on Pudding Lane. It was through the half tax records created just before the fireplace. Before the fire. Foreigner's Bakehouse was placed on Fish Yard, which is a small enclave off Pudding Lane.
Didn't he reopen the bakery as well? Once the rebuilding and everything was done, he basically just reopened the bakery again.
Pretty much, yeah. And there was mass reports of London's been leveled and stuff like that. It tore down so many buildings, it razed it to the ground. But it didn't. A lot were minorly fire damaged and just had to be pulled down to be rebuilt because they weren't safe to reuse. Finally, there are reports from Samuel Pepys, who famously went and buried his Parmesan cheese. Pepys's diary, he kept a very detailed diary and he actually got there a few days after the fire had broke out, and advised Henry, the king at the time, basically, look, you need to. Basically, he said, knock some houses down to create like a fire break.
Yeah.
And obviously, the king was like, well, I'm not going to do that. And so the fire actually, they reckon, burned for like months. It burned for about 4 or 5 months. But it was just a slow, continuous.
It's because they just didn't cause any sort of barrier for it or like stop it, like the Russians do when they just decide, right, what we're going to do is use controlled explosions to stop these fires.
Yeah.
And some places in Australia is doing the same. I love the fact though that because there was no health and safety or safety regulations or anything, it took there to be a giant fire in the city for them to look at the houses and go, actually, these aren't safe to live in.
Yeah, basically. But you know,
it took them inspecting for major fire damage from one of the biggest fires in London ever to actually go, you know what? People are living in squalor. Let's build better houses.
It wasn't the only fire that year either. Peeps was also in London when he documented that somebody lighting a match or something had dropped some spark onto some straw and a fire broke out. They feared it was going to be like the Great Fire all over again. Everyone rushed to it and they managed to put it out within an hour, quote, without incident or injury.
Yeah. One of the things I love reading about is things that happened on the same day as these great events, because everybody knows about the Great Fire London or like certain bits and pieces. But what a lot of people don't know is that there'll be things that happen on the exact same day that will just be overshadowed by it, but will be like much worse or like amazing. Like there was massive, I can't remember which event it was, but there was massive discoveries made that basically changed how we live today, but it wasn't reported upon because there was a natural disaster in the same country, like in a city further down, but because it was such a massive disaster, just nothing got reported on for the massive discovery.
Yeah.
Because the disaster took all the front page news and everything.
It's us British don't believe in hindsight.
No, it's us British don't believe in good news. We only ever report bad news because our news stations are twats. So anybody who is bored out there, this is to the listeners, the watchers, everything like that. If you get bored, just look up big disasters in history, like the Great Fire of London or things like that, a big siege battle or something like that, and then have a look for events that happened at the same time. So, like, for instance, look at the Battle of Agincourt and then see what other events happened at the same time, because I can guarantee you'll have the Battle of Agincourt, but at the same time in some other country, there will be some amazing thing that happens that just got completely overshadowed, or similar to the Great Fire, there will be something amazing that happened somewhere else.
Don't get me started with the French. I can look back to them later on.
We can look back to anything we want.
We can. So we'll see if we can keep it naturally flowing. So if anybody's got anything about fires or the news or historical events,
then
feel free.
I will sort of keep with the theme of different countries and disasters and stuff, because this is a funny disaster. It's to do with Queensland Zoo in Australia.
Oh, the upside down people.
That's Jordan's racist statement for the night,
right, not just for Australia.
Can I make a point out?
Yes.
Can I point out something, right? This is going on following from Jordan's racism, right? I got this. I was sitting down doing fuck all the other day.
Just casually go from Jordan's racism.
From Jordan's casual racism about the Australians.
What?
Who's really upside down? Are we upside down? Or they upside down?
Because is it racist when it's a fact, though?
No, it can't be really a fact. Right, take these into
account. They're upside down, though. They're on the bottom. I've seen the globe.
Someone just moved from my spot. I can probably call now.
Right, I mean, I feel like if you're actually going to be upside down, like if you want to look at a globe and go right there, the people that are upside down, you'd have to go to the people that are in the Antarctica, wouldn't you? Which one's the top and which one's the bottom? Is it the Arctic or the Antarctic?
Antarctic's at the top.
Neither's at the top or at the bottom. We're on a slant. We're always on some sort of equinox.
Yeah,
I know. If you look at like an actual globe, because most people just go off a globe. If you look at a globe, Antarctica's always at the bottom because it's the globe's sat so that it's like that.
That's
I
racist.
proved that when I accidentally put Facebook in Australian that we are the right way up and they're upside down.
Just because you fucked up Facebook.
Going off on Jordan's point, our eyes see upside down anyway.
Yes, I do.
It just inverts it.
Yes.
Our brain inverts the knowledge.
Our brain inverts our brain. My brain is not working. Our brain just flips the image.
I haven't got a brain.
Our brains.
Brain. No.
We no longer have brains. We've got Brennan. It
So
sounds like
are
the
we
Irish
upside
equivalent.
down? That's
No,
what I was thinking.
We're not upside down because we've got a lot of blood in my head. That's how you know.
Honestly, like this is one of the things I love about the human body is the fact that it has weird quirks like this. Like, how did people figure out that your brain inverts the picture? These are the types of things I love about humanity, is that we discover the most stupid random shit in trying to understand ourselves.
Right.
And we
Did you
still
think
don't know
someone's eyes
everything to
just-
do with the human
So
body.
hold on, before we carry on misconception, what we see, so what you see now, when us being the correct way up, that is right. That is
Sorry.
what we're saying. What happens is your eyes see
Sorry.
the light that bounces off that, and the way your eyes pick it up is upside down. So you're
It's sort of like when you try and take a picture in a mirror, everything's flipped. It's like that,
Yes.
but it's also flipped that
Yes,
way.
that's how your eyes work. Your brain gets that information and knows that, hold on, my feet aren't on the ceiling, and flips it the right way in your brain. So your eyes pick it up upside down, but you're not. So it's not that your eyes see correctly and then your brain flips it upside down, like where the opposite of what we think. It's the fact that your eyes literally pick it up upside down.
Yeah, but our brains were not feet.
it's-
Our feet on the ceiling. Our feet are always on the ground, though.
Yes.
No, but it's
but you
sort
know what
of,
I mean.
It's sort of the reason why you can put on things like you can literally buy glasses that make everything go upside down, and if you wear them for long enough, if you wear them for like a couple of hours, your brain adjusts to make it look like it's the right way up, so you get so used to it that you no longer feel like you're upside down, you feel like you're the right way up, because your body just adjusts to it. Your brain just goes, oh, okay, this is what the signal says. Let's just... So it sort of undoes it. It undoes what it's doing. It sort of stops inverting it in your head and just makes it...
So your brain instinctively knows after a little while of seeing it and working it out and judging by the way you're moving that this is the way that this picture should be. So it doesn't matter what you do optically, as long as you get a picture, your brain will eventually go, right, okay, it needs to be this way.
I'm assuming it's something to do with the pressures in your brain. Like, I'm assuming it sort of senses the build-up of pressure, build-up of pressure in your head and your focus and everything, and realizes, right, there's too much pressure here. That means something's wrong. Let's figure out what's wrong. Oh, we must be upside down.
But I think it's more simplistic than that. I think it's like if you think about moving your hand, if you move your hand up, your brain is telling your hand to move up, and it's a different part of your brain that's processing the image of it. So if you're upside down and you need to grab a hold of something, you know what it's like when you've wore glasses that make it look like you're upside down or stuff like that, or you're doing something in a mirror, like you said, you always go the wrong way and you can't work it out. But your brain will eventually be like, hold on, that's going backwards, that's going the wrong way, and it will work it out.
Yeah, to be honest, it's like when we're doing stuff on this camera. Like, I'm dreading the day when we've got a heads-up display for streaming and stuff, because you can never point to the right direction. Like, you instinctively point to the wrong thing, because you know that the little red dot should be in that corner, but it's not. It's in that corner.
It's in
that corner.
Yeah. John's pointing at the cross.
You both pointed at the cross, you see?
Oh, see, I'm pointing at the dot for me. The dot's there for me.
The dot's
And
Now
the
you see,
cross
there
is
for
there.
me.
The dots on the dots on that side, the cross is on that side. So whenever you cross your body, you're pointing at the wrong thing. If you're using your right hand has to cross your body in order to point to it. But for some reason, it's like my image, my right is on my left. For you two, your rights are on your right as normal. It's like my camera's inverted compared to you guys. It's
Why?
weird. I don't know.
But it's a Kyle camera.
Oh, just give up.
Jay has given up
no,
on
no,
that.
I'm giving up. I'm just doing work on the phone. That's all. Like,
I thought he was about to say he's just researching, but I love the casual pose of just, yeah.
I just seen him in the background pondering whether to top himself or not.
I'm just pondering for work. That's all, guys.
Yeah.
Just,
Honestly, I think we just all need medieval outfits at some point because that was the perfect pose for just someone smoking a pipe with a scroll going, yes.
Well, when we're on the subject of Australia,
Yes,
right,
because we need to go back to it.
I have found in Richmond, Tasmania, and I will link this into our chat. Are you ready for
Hold
this?
on, is Tasmania part of Australia?
Yes.
Yes, Kyle, it's not just a made-up thing for Looney Tunes.
No, I
It's
always
the
thought it was like
Tasmanian
its. No, I always thought it was its own island and it was like part of its own country. I didn't realise
It's
it was part of Australia.
In the
It
same
is part
way
of
that
Australia.
Ireland's part of us and the Shetlands.
I thought they got independence. I thought Tasmania was its own country.
No.
No. Anyway,
Huh.
would you like to look at the Pooseum?
No, I wouldn't like to look at the Pooseum.
Look at the Pooseum. The penguin's doing a poo on its logo.
Oh my God! There's a
Why-
penguin doing a poo on a logo.
Yes.
Why is there such a thing as a Pooseum?
Pooseum is
Why
a quirky
isn't there-
science
There is
museum.
literally a fucking Pooseum.
Scroll down,
And the
look. Who
Oh
knew?
dear God!
How good is that?
Right. In all
I'm
fairness,
worried at the fact that it's got Pooh New. It's got a picture of a bear, a picture of a cow, a picture of a rainbow, and then a picture of cheese and
penguin?
grapes.
Jeez, do you know what else, Kyle? Just above that, it says a little interactive and educational treasure. I must say, I don't want to be interacted with the Pooseum.
Apparently, there's such a thing as poo cheese.
See?
That's what
you
the
didn't
that's
know
what
that.
the cheese one is. In Sardinia, there's
Um,
poo cheese. Poo facials are available in Australia, so
Poo
that's
paper.
going back to Australia. Throwing cowpats is a sport, and not all
Yeah.
paper is made from trees. So next time you write something, remember you could be writing on poo.
Ooh, poo can cause large-scale fires. I didn't know that. Termites get killed by deadly farts. Good news. Well, officers will never be infested with termites.
like, you think that's bad?
What?
Right. You're saying you're questioning why the hell is there a Pooseum in there?
I mean, I'm not questioning it. I'm loving it.
I'm questioning who thought that idea of a Pooseum was a good one.
Right. You're questioning it. Keep it on
I
the
hope they
screen,
got promoted.
You're questioning it, right? Iceland has something better than a Pooseum.
I think I know
the
where he's
penis
going.
museum. He's on the penis museum.
He's
I
on
knew
the
you were
penis
going to do
museum.
that. I knew you were going to do that.
You see, I can sort of understand the penis museum because there's traditions in some countries that literally have like phallic rituals and stuff, but poo. Come
In all
on,
fairness, Rasputin, his penis is displayed in this museum.
Rasputin.
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 He's still talking about the poo museum at the same time, Rasputin.
He was making Rasputin Liverpoolian. Raspulian.
Oh, hi.
I like how it's Raspulian here.
God, Kyle, don't ever do that again.
Yeah, don't.
Was it bad like how?
Don't talk bin dipper
I can't
language.
link it.
I love how
he's
he's doing a Scouse, a bad Scouse accent
Yeah.
in a Geordie dialect.
Yeah.
What do you mean in a Geordie dialect? Just because I'm adding how at the end?
Yeah, like how.
Yeah. Scousers do that as well. It's just more annoying because
Plenty's plenty.
Because they all speak like this. They all sound like they've got fucking
Excuse
blocked
me,
noses.
like who, mate? Who wanna gun for a pint?
Producer
Have you, ever
Mute One.
have you ever noticed loads of people from Liverpool just sound like, one, either they've got a blocked nose, or two, the voice has been raised a couple of decibels because, like, it's high-pitched. I've never met a low-pitched Liverpoolian.
No, Liverpoolians speak like they're constipated 24/7. And that's our listenership in Liverpool going.
We have a listenership in Liverpool.
We have
Since
a
when?
we've had a quite big listenership in Liverpool, like 200 people.
We've got bin dippers listening to her.
Oh, fuck's
What,
sake.
it must have been a good week. They must have stole a lot of They must have stole a lot of stereos to listen to them.
Well, you know, they kind of
I love how,
they
like,
kind of go to
no one's-
Anfield anymore, so
I love how no one realizes that Jordan's casual weight. Jordan's having a good day today. You can tell Jordan's in a good mood just for the amount of
Because he's
racism.
talking.
No, it's not.
He's
No, it's
talking and
talking.
having
It's the
racism.
amount of racism that's coming quick out of the ball.
I love the fact that Jordan's room slowly gotten darker during the period he's been on camera. It's like the racism's increasing, but his room's getting darker and darker, so it looks like he's getting more and more tan.
that's just because I can't be.
It's like he's fading into darkness until eventually it's just a voice in the dark insulting people.
I've sent you links.
You found the toilet museum.
I have found the toilet.
The
I
Sula
have found the
toilet
toilet
museum.
museum. Oh, I've also found Cancun Underwater Museum.
Underwater museum. What? Where?
You will need a scuba suit to experience these 400 subaquatic sculptures, all done in the clearest waters in the world of Cancun. Merely look
I
for
want to do-
Museo de Nautico de Arte. What?
I want to do an underwater museum tour. I want to learn how to dive and learn how to like scuba dive and stuff. So I want to do that.
Would you like-
'Cause I would love
would
to
you like-
investigate shipwrecks and stuff.
Would you
love
like
to-
Britain's heroic entry into the strange museum world?
No.
Because
I feel like we have quite a few, considering we've got
Yes.
really shit museums in some places.
yes, but this
I'm pretty scared
this
to
would
ask,
not
to be
happen.
honest.
This
I'm just
would not
proud
happen.
we've got the Imperial War Museum because I love that place.
This would not happen anywhere else in the world other than Britain. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm waiting on it. I'm waiting on it.
I'm trying to copy it, but it's been even the website's pedantic.
You wanker, I'm waiting on you.
I am enjoying these
There
museum
you go.
websites, to be honest.
I like a good museum.
Lawnmower
fuck's
World.
sake.
I drove past a sign for like that.
It's on Shakespeare Street.
I know.
What?
Why couldn't there be a shit? If you're gonna build a museum on somewhere called Shakespeare Street, make it a fucking writing museum or something. For God's sake. I hate it when
in
people have
Belgium-
no sense of area like that. If you've got somewhere like
Where did we
Shakespeare
go
Street,
for the Jaguar
make it a
Breakfast Club?
fucking writing museum. If you've got
Yorkshire,
somewhere
that's it.
called fucking, I don't know, Verdun
Yeah.
Street, make a fucking war museum. Just make it relevant.
Do you know that
Oh,
in
It's
Wiltshire?
Shakespeare's birthday
I think
today.
it- Happy birthday, Shakespeare. In Wiltshire,
It's happy birthday to my dad as well.
Yeah,
Fucking
happy
shit.
birthday,
yeah,
Andy.
He's contributed more to us than Shakespeare has.
And it's St. George's Day.
Andy's secretly
To
here.
us, yeah.
See?
He is. Well, we're pointing out that we could tell it's my dad's picture because of the frame, because he uses that frame for every fucking picture.
And like I say,
Well, now
it's
he
St.
does.
George's Day where we're celebrating a person that wasn't even English that didn't even step foot in England.
And he didn't kill the dragon.
He was,
And he was a Muslim Turk.
yes, he was Turk.
Yeah.
Sorry, English people, you celebrate a saint, Saint George, who was not named George, he was Muhammad. He was a Muslim. He was fair enough, he was a mayor anyway. And he was from the East, he was Turkish.
Do you know the reason why he became our patron
He
saint?
was Turkish, but he's also the patron saint of shitloads more countries than us.
Because
He was just a
saved
he was a
lot of
nice guy.
Christians. Yeah. And
Okay.
on
Why
our
the
flags
fuck?
named after them.
Why the fuck is there a museum of broken relationships?
Isn't that awesome?
How do you make a museum of broken relationships? Is it just a bunch of engagement rings that people didn't want anymore?
I don't know, but there was one of the exhibits is an X-axe. It's just an axe, and it says next to it, "This is an X-axe," and then I didn't read it because I wanted to send you the link because I got excited.
She
Hold on
was
a
the
second,
first
I've just
woman that
realised
would
there's a
let me
shop.
move in with her. Oh, people actually they give out things.
Yeah.
People donate stuff that their partners left behind when they move out after a breakup.
Ugh.
Oh dear.
There's a book in the shop called Stories More Exciting Than Yours.
Yeah. Look, collection and X-axe. I got to read about the X-axe.
I
He was the
fucking
first
love it.
woman that I let move in with me. All my friends saw I needed to learn to let people in more. A few months after she moved in, I was offered to travel to the US she could not come along. At the airport, we said goodbye in tears, and she was assuring me she could not survive 3 weeks without me. I returned after 3 weeks, and she said I fell in love with someone else.
Yep,
Bitch.
sounds about right.
I've known her for just 4 days, but I know that she can give me anything that you cannot. Also, it's a guy. Yeah, and it goes on. The axe was promoted to a she took the trash and left my apartment for good. The axe was promoted to a therapy instrument. So basically, he axed the shit out of everything she left and then took the axe to the museum.
That's just...
Oh, there's a map as well, so you can see where they're donated from.
That's like at the top right of the homepage.
I don't think there's any
I
donated
scrolled
from
past it.
England. Are there any from England?
Not that I can see. There are 2,456 breakup pins on the map. 656 of them are from LA. 900 of them are from Zagreb. So they're apparently the two most popular locations to
Zagreb
be
and
dates.
LA.
You know, the
I mean,
two
LA,
similar countries.
LA I can sort of understand, because it's full of wankers. I mean, it's America, so...
Right.
You see, if Jordan can be racist towards people, I can be racist towards Americans.
That's my shtick, Kyle.
Should I make Jordan more racist?
Go for it.
Jordan,
Yes.
what sport do you play at like a semi-professional level that you love and is a big part of your life?
Cricket.
And what nation's your favourite?
Not the French.
No, it is the French. Come on, play along. French cricket is a form of cricket that creates a game similar to catch. The game can be played socially at picnics or parties or benches. It's an ideal form of cricket that can include children of varied ages. Not all participants need to be fully involved, and the spectators can make a catch and have a bat informally. So I've read about the rules of it. It's basically some French people, right, have got they get a cricket bat and they stand like facing the bowler with their legs closed. The bowler, instead of having a wicket, has to hit the legs to get them out. And then you don't bat, you stand with the bat in front of your legs and scoop the ball up. So it's the most retarded version of cricket I've ever seen. It's basically the French have not only managed to ruin cricket, but they've managed to ruin quick cricket.
Right, so basically...
No, Stefan, you
Yes.
should like it because it's a sport in way if you have to hit a Frenchman in the legs with a piece of wood.
No, but it's not, because it's not even wood. They use it at tennis ball, I think, most of the time.
Well, you can still hit a Frenchman in the legs and just say it's for the sport.
There is one batsman. The objective is not to be dismissed by the other participants who are fielders or a bowler if they have possession of the ball, because that needs to be clarified, apparently. The objective for the other participants is dismiss the batsman, like cricket. There are only two methods of dismissal, being caught or being LBW, but there are no stumps. This method of dismissal is effected by a bowled ball hitting the batsman's legs typically below the knees. Once the batsman is dismissed, the other participant who took the catch or affected the LBW typically replaces them as a batsman. So it's quick cricket, except they don't even have a wicket, they just use their fucking legs.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best part. You can just hit a Frenchman in the legs.
So
the batsman...
Just say it's for the sport.
So basically, they should call it a game of surrender.
Basically, I don't know. It doesn't... It's... The batsmen stand stationary with the bat protecting their legs being the stumps of formal cricket. Whichever other player has the ball throws it at the batsman, attempting to dismiss him by hitting their legs. If the batsman hits the ball, the other participants may also dismiss the batsman by catch. The type of equipment is not restricted to cricket equipment, but there are only two items used. The ball is typically a tennis ball, bowled underarm at the legs of another player holding a cricket bat, or a tennis racket, or some other object that can be used like a cricket bat. So most of the time they don't even use a fucking cricket bat, they don't use anything to do with cricket.
The French hurt my brain.
It's fucking fantastic. It's a sport in which they've tried to copy another sport, completely fucked it up, and just made their own rules, and now it's just devolved into whatever the fuck they fancy.
Do they wear white? Because they may get confused and thinking they're wearing a white flag.
Do you know what? Right, French cricket is most commonly played by children. That tells you everything you need to know. Right? They were like, well, fuck this game up so much, we might as well just let the kids play it and leave them alone. Or mixed groups of children and adults. Adults sometimes play the game as an event diversion during an outdoor parties or on picnics. If the game is played more seriously, So if you were serious enough to take a totally fucked up, unrecognisable version of cricket serious enough to treat it like a cricket match, you can take turns to bat, and the player who has batted for the most balls for the longest time is considered the winner.
That is not how cricket works.
I don't understand. Take it seriously.
To be honest, I feel like I understand this sport more than actual cricket.
I mean, it's a lot less complicated, but that's because children play it.
Yeah.
Kyle just wants to play the sport to hit people.
Kyle just wants to Kyle just wants to bully some children, and it'd be sport.
No, hold on.
Kyle's gonna go to work. Kyle's gonna go to work on Monday, but like, kids, we're gonna teach you cricket.
With a cricket bat?
With a cricket bat, and he's gonna be like, the kids will be looking at him, but aren't you our IT help person? Nope,
they just slugs one in the face for playing French cricket pitches.
Jordan. You should contact the school you got fired from. You didn't abuse
yeah, you were
disabled
you
kid.
were playing French cricket.
I was playing football actually, but never mind.
It's French. They don't understand the difference between a football and a cricket ball.
And it was a tennis ball.
Yeah.
So yeah,
We'll love you, mate. Right. Can I sidetrack from that onto another sport?
you can. I forgot I had another linked poo fact, but that's fine.
Okay, we'll go back to poo facts.
Shit.
Apparently this episode's just about random shit, including shit itself.
Including actual shit. This next one's a good one. It's better than the Poozium.
This is to do with the Los Angeles Marathon.
Yeah.
And it's the rabbit in marathons. It's called the rabbit. It's basically the person who sets the pace, the front of the race, you know?
The forerunner.
Yeah, well, it's apparent. This is the story that the rabbit simply kept going and going and going and going. Utah's Pilkington was expected to set the pace and then drop out, but he couldn't find a reason to stop. He was paid to run fast, but not too fast. He was paid to run far, but not too far. Quick but harmless, Paul Pilkington was known to Los Angeles marathon runners Sunday as the Rabbit. Somebody else was supposed to win for $3,000.
Sorry,
Sorry, yeah, go.
Yeah, no, sorry. So, just before you carry on, so he was paid by the event organisers to set pace so that nobody got carried away at the beginning. Like how in the Olympics sometimes you just see someone sod off and then they're fucked and everyone passes them. So he was paid. So he wasn't part of the marathon. He wasn't supposed to win.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Sorry. Go on.
So yeah, he's just the pace setter, right?
Yeah.
Somebody else was supposed to win for $3,000. Pilkington was supposed to quit, but with nearly a 2-minute lead and 10 miles remaining, Pilkington's legs had other ideas, or was that his pride? Whatever, the rabbit pulled a marathon out of his hat, delighting spectators and shocking elite runners by refusing to quit as expected after 15.5 miles. American Pilkington led from the start and hung on to win the 9th annual race by 39 seconds over Italy's Luca Bozzaghi. On a cool, cloudy morning, Pilkington led the 19,000 competitors over the 26.2-mile course. So it's 26.2 miles altogether. He was meant to drop out and stop being the pace setter at 15 miles, and he just decided, nah, I've only got 10 miles left to go, I might as well just finish it.
Right, I've seen marathons, and they've got like TV cameras and stuff like that, usually on like mopeds and cars. There's medical cars driving along beside them. Yeah. Nobody could have just pulled up in front of them and went, hold on, mate.
No. Apparently, he led them over the course in 2 hours, 12 minutes and 13 seconds, the 4th fastest winning time in race history.
He's like, I'm here for the record.
Yeah.
And the $3,000.
He was joined in front of the Colosseum about 16 minutes later by an emotional Olga Appel. Running only 9 days after becoming a United States citizen, Appel won the women's race by nearly 9 minutes to chance of Go USA. So, one of you, search Olga Appel, see when she won the women's race, and that will tell you when this race took place, so you can see whether they would have had the televised mopeds or not.
Olga Appel. I do have it here. Best known for winning gold medal in the women's marathon at the 1991 Pan American Games in Havana, Cuba.
So this says. Oh no, it says in 1994.
Oh no, hold on. Yeah, so it says. She ran at the 92 Summer Olympics the following year, failed to finish. She competed for Mexico until February 25th, 1994, at which point she switched allegiance to the United States. She represented her adopted country at the 1996 Summer Olympics.
So yeah, this one's the 1994. So it's she apparently won the 1994 one, becoming
the USA Cross Country Championships in '94.
Yeah. So this was the Rabbit at the time in 1994, and it was apparently it was the first time in 9 years that the men's and women's winners in one of the big three marathons, whether it's New York, Boston, or Los Angeles, were US citizens at the time of the race. It was also the first time in recent memory, I don't know whether it's recent memory as in today or recent memory as in back then, that the second place finisher was convinced he had finished first.
I mean, you could be though, wouldn't you?
Because, of course, by any sort of standards, you would think that they wouldn't count the actual marathon pace setter to be allowed to win, but for some reason they just said, fuck it, he's ran it, and he's competed, and he's in the top 4 record holders. Let's just do it.
I don't know about you, but last time I heard, the Boston Marathon was explodingly fun.
No, Jay.
Oh, for fuck's sake. It took me a second there.
Yes, I know.
Bozagi, the pre-race favourite, fell so far behind Pilkington during the final miles that he could no longer see him.
I can't take this seriously because I can just see Carl Pilkington run a marathon.
I know.
In my head.
He figured Pilkington had dropped out of the race as promised, so he slowed down. So he couldn't see...
He was so far ahead they thought he'd left.
Yeah, he was so far ahead that the person who came in second thought he had dropped out. Like, he was meant to 10 miles ago. So he started slowing down to conserve his energy because he thought he doesn't need to catch him anymore. So he just gave him a bigger gap. By the time Bazagi crossed the finish line, he had already chosen the colour of his new car. He raised his arms, he smiled. He was wondering where all the cameras were when a silver medal was draped around his neck. He then learned that the athlete who was paid only to set a fast pace and block the wind for the better runners actually kept running. He's quoted by saying, "I thought the rabbit had dropped out. Nobody told me he was still running. I thought I won. I was keeping my own pace. I was not running against him." He was very angry. He was very angry, but he still had to speak through an interpreter because he was Italian. So he was very angrily speaking to an interpreter, who then had to speak very angrily to the American public.
So it's like when Kyle gets so angry that he stops making sense, and we're just laughing and have to interpret.
No, it's opposite of Kyle, because when Kyle speaks normally, he sounds angry, but when Kyle gets angrily,
he sounds Italian.
He sounds Italian, but he speaks so posh as well. Like, Mamma mia, the meatballs.
It's great. This is the best part, right? The Italians derided Pilkington, saying the rabbit is supposed to drop out of the race. It's not fair, and we're going to do something about it. I mean, it's not exactly fair that you got beat by someone who was running faster than you, so you know.
Yeah.
Said Eugene Colombo of Pasadena, what a name, who served as Bazagi's interpreter.
I hope he was a detective.
It said Luca had no idea what was going on. Pilkington's agent, Bob Wood, came back and retorted. So it was a fight between Eugene Colombo and Bob Wood.
Is this a film?
It feels like it should be. But apparently his agent said, "You've got to be smart enough to know you aren't in first place. Hey man, get a brain. I know they give split times at this race. What, these guys can't read either. Those comments are Bush League."
Oh, typical American.
The Italians, in the middle of a news conference, also criticised Ann Roberts, coordinator of marathon elite athletes, saying that Anne told us before the race that the rabbit would be dropping out after 25 kilometres, absolutely. From the back room, Roberts responded, I never said that. To which they said, yes, you did. And then Roberts retorted, I never said that, it's not true. So at a press conference, you said this. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. No, you didn't. At a fucking press conference for a marathon.
To be fair, if I was that Italian guy, I'd be annoyed that I'd read their press conferences as well. In a different language.
It's great, and I love the fact. The brilliant part is, Roberts claimed that she never made the promise, and Pilkington never said he would have signed a contract containing that promise. In every race, the rabbit always has the option of staying in the race, Pilkington said. It doesn't happen very much, but it's always possible.
Hold on. So,
however,
he didn't pay entry into this either, so he didn't pay entry into this in any way. He was given £3,000 to do it, and then he just blitzed them and got the prize money as well.
Yeah. It
what
says,
a dick.
It sounds like
Pilkington 35, so he was 35 when he did it as well, so he wasn't a young chick. Acknowledged that he has dropped out of each of the 5 previous marathons he has run as a rabbit, including twice in New York and last year. But today, after I did my job by getting out fast, nobody came after me, he said, who won his first marathon in 4 years. I couldn't believe nobody closed the gap. I figured as long as I was out there and feeling good, why stop?
So basically, he's like, if anyone was decent, I would have dropped out, but they were all shit, so I just thought I'd just win it.
Yeah. The race was win-running partner Ed Eyestone suffered a groin injury on the Friday. Pilkington knew he had Eyestone, yeah? Ed Eyestone. These names are fucking brilliant. They're like they're from mythology. Pilkington knew he had a chance at the $12,000 bonus for winning the national title, in addition to $15,000 prize money and the car. So he said, once I did what I was paid to do, I knew I had a chance at more. I just got more and more relaxed and nobody seemed to be able to go with me. So not only did he get the £3,000 to be paid to compete in it, he also won $15,000 prize money, a car, and $12,000 for winning the national title.
What a dick. But what a payday for him. Oh.
How to be a legend of the marathon.
It also said he made a living teaching troubled teenagers. He walked away from the Coliseum on Sunday worrying about making a 8:30 a.m. writing class the next day. Unusual for winners of this race, he will keep the luxury car. It will replace a van that has nearly 100,000 miles. So apparently the winners usually just sell the car and take the money and buy what they want, but he just went, no, I've gotten a free car, I'm just going to replace my van.
That sounds like Kyle.
Ooh, and apparently that white glove he wore in his left hand, his only apparent confession to fashion. He wears it not because of Michael Jackson, but because of asthma. An inhaler is stuck inside the glove. Not that he needed it Sunday, leading from start to finish. One tends to breathe easy. He was asthmatic as well, and he wore one white glove to hold his inhaler.
Man who was paid to not win a race, absolutely fucking shit next to everybody.
Yeah. During the race, the photographers kept wanting to drive back from Paul and shoot the real runners, the marathon president said. By the 20-mile mark, it was great fun to find them and say, hey guys, guess what? The winner is really up here. Because they all thought he was going to drop out as well, so they didn't bother taking pictures of him until they realised at the 20-mile mark, he's still fucking running.
I have something else about races, Kyle.
Go
unless you got more on this, I'll be finished.
No, that's it. I just want to see if I can try and find a picture of this Paul Pilkington and see what he looked like while running it.
Right. Duncan Hamilton, a racing driver, right? Yeah. James Duncan Hamilton, known as just Duncan Hamilton, was born on the 30th of April 1920 in Cork, in Ireland, right? On the 30th of May 1994 in Sherborne, Dorset, he died. But he was a British racing driver, and he was famed for his colourful and extrovert personality, which often overshadowed his genuine talent. After fighting in and surviving the Second World War, he took up motorsport. Right? Although adept in single-seater, sports cars were where he enjoyed the most success. Winning the 1953 24 Hours of Le Mans, the 2 Coupe de Paris events, and the 12 Hours International Rem race.
Sorry, I'm just trying to load up the image, but that's what he looked like. He's literally got his second white glove, which he doesn't need to hold his inhaler, stuffed in his pants, and he's just running as cool as a cucumber.
Yeah. He retired in 1958, ran a garage in Bagshot, Surrey for many years, and died of lung cancer in 1994. However, there is one particular thing I want to tell you about. So, he was born, he fought in the Second World War. When the war ended, he opened up a car garage. During the years between the war ending and the start of the 1950s, he started racing in local events, cut his teeth in such pre-wars as the MG Type R and the Bugatti Type 35B. After racing a Maserati 6CM in 1948, he graduated to the Talbot Lago Grand Prix car. Now, there is a lucky escapes thing that says, on one occasion in 1947, he was transporting his MGR Type to the Brighton Speed Trials. When going down a hill near Guildford, he was quoted as saying, "I saw a splendid honeycomb radiator of a beautiful Bugatti in my outside rearview mirror, so I moved over and waved it past, but the car hung back. Further down the hill, the Bugatti accelerated and drew level with me. At this point, I saw there was no one in it. The awful truth dawned on me. It was my own car, gathering speed fast. He'd forgotten that he was towing his Bugatti with him."
I love it.
So he's, the story ends with a lamppost snapping too. A week after the 1953 Le Mans win, so this is another close call, Hamilton drove to Oporto to prepare for the Portuguese Grand Prix, held on the Circuit de Boa Vista. He was leading into the first corner of the race when he crashed his Jaguar heavily into an electricity pylon. The Jaguar cartwheeled, throwing him out of the car and into a tree. He hung there for about a minute before falling down on the side of the circuit. Barely conscious, he moved his legs out of the way just as a Ferrari raced by, nearly taking off his left boot with it. He was taken to hospital for an emergency operation, though medical facilities did not extend anaesthetic. As the surgeon leant over him, Duncan was mesmerised by the increasing length of his cigarette ash as it hovered above his open chest cavity. The accident cut off the power supply to the whole of Oporto for several hours.
For fuck's sake.
So he made a blackout as well because of his crash. But anyway, he went through his Formula 1 racing career. He won quite a lot. And then we'll get to Le Mans. He was best known for his success in the 24 Hours of Le Mans endurance race, which he took part in 9 times, most famously in partnership with Tony Rolt. The pair finished 4th at the first attempt in the 1950 race, 6th in 1951. Both times in a special-bodied Nash Healey Coupe. Their Jaguar C-Type did not finish in 1952, but they returned with the C-Type to win in 1953. They were second with the Jaguar D-Type in 1954, losing to a much larger engine Ferrari V12, and by the narrowest margins, they came within 2 miles of victory. Hamilton having driven a storming race in the closing stages to half the lead of the Scuderia Ferrari of Jose Froilan Gonzalez and Maurice Tringant. As the track was awash following a cloudburst, when the track started to dry out, the Ferrari hung on for a narrow triumph. They failed to finish in 1955. Right? So
he didn't really have much luck with any sort of Ferrari.
No, he was racing against the Ferrari, so when the Ferraris came with the bigger engines, the one with faster wood, he nearly caught it. So then we'll go on. 1956.
He nearly caught one on his feet.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I'm just upset that he crashed a Jag.
Jay is going to love this because he's Irish. We're going to move on to alcohol in a second, but he drove Jags as well. So this is Jay's hero. He won the Rem 12-hour race with Jaguar D-Type, co-driven by Ivo Bug, who he shared a Le Mans appearance with in 1958 and failed to finish. The factory dropped him from the 1956 Le Mans roster for speeding up and passing teammate Paul Lefrere's car at Rem when Lofty England, who was the team manager, had ordered the entire team to slow down. Hence a switch to a Ferrari that year. In 1957, Jaguar did not enter Le Mans. Cars and equipment had been destroyed by a fire at the factory, and Hamilton used his privately owned D-Type. So he drove for Jaguar. He got fired from Jaguar for ignoring when his team boss said, "Everyone slow down," overtook his teammate. And he got fired, and then the factory burned down, so he was like, "Well, I've got my own D-Type, I'll just race this since you're not here." But I'm going to talk to you about the 1953 event, which was awesome. Hamilton famously won the 1953 event in a Jaguar C-Type shared with Rolt. Initially, the pair were practicing for the race in a Jaguar that had the same racing number as another car on the circuit at the same time, so they were disqualified, right? So they had the same number as someone else, didn't realise, got disqualified. Hamilton's account has become a motor race legend. When Jaguar team manager Lofty England had persuaded the organisers to let them race, both drivers were already totally drunk in a local bar. England said, "Of course I would never have let them race under the influence. I had enough trouble with them when they were sober." When the race was underway, the team tried to sober Hamilton up by giving him coffee during pit stops. But after the wait, it gets better. But after the fourth pit stop, he refused it, saying it made his arms twitch and he didn't like it. So instead, he was given brandy. The alcohol must have
realised sobering up wasn't going to work. Let's just get him pissed again and hope for the best.
The alcohol must have helped because he was struck in the face first with a bird at 130 mile an hour and it broke his nose. Despite the bizarre circumstances, the duo went on to win the race and recorded the first 100 mile an hour average speed record at Le Mans, which was a record pace. Both England and Rolt have denied that they were drunk. So they were totally shit-faced. He broke his nose on a seagull, broke the lap record, and won the race with his pissed teammate, and then went, "No,
and also set the first over 100 mile per hour thing.
Yeah, average speed. So they broke the average speed record, the lap record. He broke his nose on a seagull. They were both totally pissed. Coffee didn't work sober enough, so they gave him more alcohol, and then he went, "I wasn't drunk."
It's one of those stories that your granddad tells you, and you're like, "Nah, that can't be true." And then you see some news article the next day about it, and you're like, "Holy fuck!"
Yeah.
I've got a story for you, which goes along the lines of "Holy fuck." The tagline, which I think we will all agree is amazing, is the incredible story of a lucky SR-71 Blackbird pilot. So the big, giant X-Men aircraft, which was made to be stealthy military missions.
Yeah.
He survived the disintegration of said Blackbird at Mach 3.
Oh, I will say, Kyle, sorry. Just before that, Earl Howe wrote in an original autobiography foreword in 1960 that the drivers of his age were fiercely competitive and friends to meet. The stories tell almost certainly a party to be enjoyed. Duncan was a larger-than-life character who wasn't just one of the most successful drivers of the 1950s, but also the man who trespassed twice at Brooklands, spent the war in the Fleet Air Arm, accidentally trying to drown American admirals, and who was once stopped for speeding whilst rushing to take part in a TV programme on road safety.
Yeah, sounds about
didn't
right.
give a shit. Right, sorry.
It's us as versus.
Yeah.
But yeah, the iconic, right, so a Blackbird it's a strategic reconnaissance aircraft. It's meant to be stealthy, like I said. It can fly at 88.
Is it SR-21 Lockheed?
SR-71.
71.
One
of my favourite planes.
It's the Lockheed, yeah. It's in my mind, it'll always be the X-Men plane, because it's in the first X-Men film.
It is, but it's annoying because it's not. We'll not get into that because the physics isn't good. But yeah, okay.
I know it's like a real film. I know it's a real plane. I know it's like fantastic.
Yeah.
To fly the aircraft at 88,000 feet and Mach 3, the iconic plane required aircrews to wear a special silver pressure suit to ensure their safety. This proved to be much useful during the time, as the aircraft experienced several accidents at very high speeds and altitudes during its test flights. The protection provided by these suits was put to test on January 25th, 1966, when Blackbird tail number 952 disintegrated mid-air during a systems evaluation flight. The mission was intended to investigate procedures designed to reduce trim drag and improve high-Mach cruise performance. Basically improving its stability. It was, I like how it says it's driven, no, it's flown. It was flown by Bill Weaver with a flight test specialist, Jim Zweyer, in the back seat, and it took off from Edwards AFB at 11:20 a.m. They refueled from another plane and accelerated to Mach 3.2 and climbed to 78,000 feet, which was meant to be their initial cruise altitude. The aircraft ended up trying to do a roll to the right, which caused an issue in the right engine, which forced the aircraft to roll further right and start to go up. An inlet broke when a shockwave was rapidly ejected back outside of it. When it occurred, a device called the cross-tie system was enabled to minimize the extreme rolling and yaw. At the same time, the cross-tie system also restarted the good engine. So the system that was designed to help stop it from breaking down made it worse by turning off the engine that was working. Weaver is quoted as saying, "I jammed the control stick as far left and forward as it would go. No response. I instantly knew we were in for a wild ride." Since the chances to survive an ejection at Mach 3.18 and 78,000 feet weren't very good, Weaver and Zweyer decided to stay within the aircraft to restore control until they reached a lower speed and altitude. But the cumulative effect of system malfunctions exceeded flight control authority. Everything seemed to unfold in slow motion, even if the time from event onset to catastrophic departure from controlled flight was only 2 to 3 seconds. Weaver recalls that he was still trying to communicate with Jim, blacked out, succumbing to the high G-forces, and then the plane literally disintegrated around them. He suddenly realized what was happening and said, "I could not have survived what had just happened. I must be dead." As full awareness took hold, I realized I wasn't dead, but somehow I had separated from the plane. I had no idea how this could have happened. I hadn't initiated an ejection. The sound of rushing air and what sounded like straps flapping in the wind confirmed I was falling, but I couldn't see anything. My pressure suit's faceplate had frozen over and I was staring at a layer of ice. At this point, the pressure suit proved effective protection for Weaver because once it was inflated, an emergency oxygen cylinder in the seat kit attached to the parachute harness was functioning well. It not only supplied breathing oxygen but also pressurized the suit, preventing Weaver's blood from boiling at the extremely high altitude.
Yes.
It'd basically become a tiny escape capsule.
Yeah, so on the you said boiling his blood there.
Yeah.
So it immediately reminded me of a thing which I've been looking for, but I found it. It's called the Armstrong limit. Right?
Yeah.
Now, it's the reason, obviously you have to wear oxygen if you go above to avoid hypoxia if you go high altitude. The reason that you wear, not necessarily a spacesuit, but the reason you wear a pressurized suit in non-commercial, so military aircraft and stuff, isn't for the oxygen because you could do without that. It's for the Armstrong limit or the Armstrong line. It's a measure of altitude above which the atmospheric pressure is significantly low enough that water boils at the normal temperature of the human body. So if you cross the Armstrong limit, basically what happens is, obviously the boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. The higher you get, the lower the boiling point becomes because it's less pressure. Right? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm guessing
less pressure.
I'm guessing there's a point at which it just becomes like body temperature.
Yes, so that is what the Armstrong limit is. So it's about 63,000 feet. It's a pressure altitude. It's 63,000 feet. That is where the boiling point of water is the normal temperature of the human body. So, exposure to the low pressure below this limit results in rapid loss of consciousness, followed by a series of changes to the cardiovascular and neurological functions, and eventually death unless pressure is restored within 60 to 90 seconds. So
this guy should thank his lucky stars he was in a pressurized suit.
Definitely. The term is named after United States Air Force General Harry George Armstrong, who was the first to recognize the phenomenon. Now, the effect it has on the body fluids, at or above the Armstrong limit, body fluids such as saliva, tears, urine, and the liquids wetting the alveoli within the lungs, but not vascular blood within the circulatory system. So it's all your liquids. So your tears, sweat, urine,
it's sort of the thinner liquids, so not the thickness of blood, but the thinner ones.
Yeah. Would begin to boil away from the body without a full body pressure suit, and no amount of breathable oxygen delivered by any means will sustain life for more than a few minutes. The NASA Technical Report of Rapid Explosive Decompressive Emergencies in Pressure-Suited Subjects, which discusses the brief accidental exposure of a human to near vacuum, notes that the subject later reported that his last conscious memory was of the saliva on his tongue beginning to boil.
Yeah.
So
I like the fact that the love of making these reports have such long names that it's like a tongue twister trying to say them. Well done for not fucking up.
Yeah, I always concentrate. So at the nominal body temperature of 37 degrees, water has a vapor pressure of 6.3 kilopascals, which is to say that an ambient pressure of 6.3 kilopascals, the boiling point of the water is 37 degrees. So that's it. It's at about 63,000 feet. It can sometimes start at about 62,000.
Yeah.
So there is a point where if you go high enough that you need to be in a full body pressure suit because your blood will boil. And it's just amazing that they found it and they documented it and stuff and they know about it. And then a guy accidentally got exposed to it. And it's just his last conscious memory was of the saliva on his tongue beginning to boil. Imagine that. If you go, you're going up, and then all of a sudden you feel the inside of your mouth starting to boil, and you black out.
I wonder if the stomach acid would do that as well, because I wonder.
So it's exposed to air. So it's your saliva, your tears, your urine, your sweat, and the moisture in your lungs. After that, it would be stuff like your blood, your stomach acid, any liquids in your body.
Yeah. Because I'm assuming it would sort of go like your tears and all that sort of stuff, and then it would go to possibly your I don't know which one would come first, your blood or your stomach acid. I don't know which one's like more viscous and like probably has like the different boiling temperature. I'm assuming your stomach acid is probably more resilient.
Well, this is the thing. So I think your stomach acid's thinner than blood if you go off like when you bring up bile and stuff like that. Or maybe it isn't, but it's highly acidic and it's in pressurized environment anyway. It's further into your body, and I feel like it's a more resilient substance in general. I could be wrong.
I see. This is the thing though, because if something's already in a pressurized environment, if you introduced a different pressurized environment, usually that completely fucks things up and causes chaos.
Yeah, that's it. It's a low pressure.
So I'm wondering if it's a case of if you can do it at such a point where like you change the pressure that's inside that stomach by so much, such as climbing to such a height, would it be the pressure at the height would cause the stomach to go first because it would be such a quick change in pressure? And your body can sort of regulate it, but your stomach is already at such a different pressure that it would completely cause chaos, or if it would be the blood first.
Well,
it's sort of a question of rapid change of pressure within a small container, or still rapid but not as rapid equalization of pressure within a larger area type thing.
We've given Kyle like a food for thought here, where he's going to start experimenting on his next victims.
So, on that next torture project, what does it take to vaporize stomach acid?
My hypothetical for that, Kyle, was... Right, sorry. My thought process on that was, if you are, like you said, if you climb to a certain height, so what if you are in space and you got out of your spacesuit, you had an oxygen mask on? The theory being that you would still have oxygen, so you wouldn't suffocate, but I don't think that would matter anyway, because I think it's such low pressure as soon as you stepped
Yeah.
out, even without oxygen before you suffocated. Because it takes about three minutes roughly to suffocate, isn't it? It's 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The rule of three.
it's meant to, yeah.
So even before then, I think pretty much instantaneously your body would start to boil. So I googled the hypothetical question: what would happen if you were in space without a spacesuit? And there's actually a thing. It says talks about the spacesuits and that. During the spacewalk of Alexei Leonov, Alexei Leonov in 1965, an incredible event happened that almost cost him his life. His spacesuit had in essence failed and expanded in the vacuum of space. With some quick thinking, he managed to get back into his spacecraft and survive the mission. What would happen if he did not have a spacesuit at all? Since spacesuits do not have oxygen, you would probably think to hold your breath, however, it won't help.
No.
It says if you think of a vacuum cleaner reducing air pressure by about 20%, which causes suction. By reducing the oxygen, it creates a higher pressure. In space, the gases decrease significantly, therefore creates a vacuum. Without a spacesuit, all the oxygen would be immediately sucked out of your body, and any oxygen that was left in your lungs and trapped would expand and rupture them. Without air pressure, you will experience ebullition. Ebullition of the formation of gas bubbles in bodily fluids due to the reduced environmental pressure, which means that the pressure in the vacuum of space is so low that the boiling point of fluids in your body is way below the body's normal temperature of 37 degrees. This results in the instant formation of gas bubbles in all fluids. Consequently, your body could swell to twice the size it is now, the same effect that divers face when coming to the surface, so the same as the bends, or decompression sickness. Scientists believe that you will not explode because your skin is very elastic. And then, of course, it does say that if you did survive past 1 or 2 minutes, which you wouldn't, then you would die of radiation sickness because of the radiation in space, because you're not protected by the atmosphere. So, yeah. If you stepped out of a spacesuit, basically, you're right, you wouldn't suffocate, you'd swell up to twice your size and boil from the inside.
Right, okay. I have Googled what is the boiling point of stomach acid, because I was curious, and I'm getting a lot of stuff about hydrochloric acid.
Well, it's very similar, isn't it? It's very similar in makeup.
It's meant to be very similar, and
very
apparently, I'm just having a look now. The melting point is
the melting point.
Yeah, apparently you can melt hydrochloric acid. I'm assuming you can turn it into a solid and then melt it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just loading it up, but I'm trying to answer my own question, really. I'm trying to see which would go first. I'm seeing if I can find out the boiling points, whether it would be the blood or the what's the word? Stomach acid. That's the one. I just keep on getting a lot of stuff about like acid reflux and stuff. So I'm gonna search into it, and I'll probably end up getting the answer at some point next week.
Yeah.
For now, I'm going to continue on with the story because it does continue. It's got a automatic bailout procedure, which was its parachute system, to prevent body tumbling motions and physical injury due to centrifugal forces. It was designed to automatically deploy a small diameter stabilizing parachute shortly after ejection and seat separation. Since Weaver had not intentionally activated it, he thought that the stabilizing chute might not have deployed, but he quickly determined he was falling vertically and not tumbling, meaning the little parachute did its job. The next concern was for the main parachute, which was designed to open automatically at 15,000 feet. So, a long way down.
That's quite far down,
long way down. A very long way down. A lot further
down.
Yeah. Again, he had no assurance the automatic opening function would work, so Weaver decided to open the faceplate to estimate his height above the ground, but as he reached for the faceplate, he felt the reassuring sudden deceleration of main parachute deployment. He was rescued by the owner of a ranch in northeastern New Mexico, who helped him with the chute, then reached Zweyer, who had not landed too far away. Mitchell returned a few minutes later, reporting that Zweyer was dead. In fact, he had suffered a broken neck during the aircraft's disintegration and was killed almost instantly. The investigation into the incident determined that the nose section broke off. It had broken off aft of the rear cockpit and crashed 10 miles from the main wreckage. The resultant very high G-forces had literally ripped them both out of the plane. After this crash, testing with CG after normal limits was discontinued, and they stopped doing all the stuff. 2 weeks after the accident, Weaver was back in a Blackbird.
Yeah, why not?
So his ship disintegrated around him, he got torn out, his co-pilot, or like the person he was flying with, got the neck broken instantly in the crash, and he, after 2 weeks, was back in a fucking Blackbird. He said, "It was my first flight since the accident, so a flight test engineer in the backseat was probably a little apprehensive about my state of mind and confidence. As we roared down the runway and lifted off, I heard an anxious voice over the intercom. 'Bill, are you there?' 'Yeah, George, what's the matter?' 'Thank God, I thought you might have left.'" The rear cockpit of the SR-71 has no forward visibility, only a small window on each side, and George couldn't see him. A big red light on the master warning panel in the rear seat had illuminated just as we rotated, stating "Pilot ejected." So his a big flashing red light appeared as he was pulling away, saying "Pilot ejected." So he had to go, "Are you still there?"
It's just me and Kyle flying a plane and me just fucking off going, "Nah, I'm out." Kyle's a John.
It is. I mean, I was going to say, I feel like in a plane, you would feel like the motions and like the mechanical motions of it ejecting, but at the same time, it's such a big plane. I'm not too sure if you would, especially if you had like turbulence from lifting off and stuff.
I will say though, the Blackbird, it has long been my favourite plane. It's so fucking awesome. It looks like something out of a Batman movie. And it does over Mach 3. It doesn't just go to Mach 3, it goes beyond Mach 3. So 3 times the speed of sound. Theoretical top speed's like over 3,000 mile an hour, isn't it? 2,200 mile an hour. And it's just, this thing is amazing, and it's just to fly really high and really fast so that no radars can detect it, and if you do detect it, you can't catch it.
And take pictures, and it's basically, I'm sure it's obsolete now, because it doesn't actually, they can't upgrade the stuff on it to be able to take proper stuff anymore, so now that we've got drones, it's basically obsolete.
Have you seen the front, like a square-on front image of one?
Yes, it's gorgeous.
It looks fucking awesome.
While we're talking about sort of space and like really high up heights and everything, I want to talk to you about video games.
Before you do that, before you move on, because I've just been having a quick look, and I've found 10 incredible facts about the Lockheed. Right. Number 10 was that it could not physically be shot down. Over the course of the SR-71's 3.5 decades of service, over 1,000 missiles were actively shot at it and not one made contact. The Blackbird had a very simple method for evading enemy anti-aircraft missiles. It simply outran them.
Fly too high?
No, it outran them. It was the only plane in operation capable of such high speeds and could cover and survey entire countries in a matter of minutes. Of the 32, of the 32 that were built, 12 were destroyed, none of them by enemy fire.
No, they all broke up in the atmosphere, disintegrating.
Yeah. What is it amazing? It was like, oh fuck, right, the shot it, we'll just outrun it.
It's amazing that a plane that disintegrated by itself during tests never got shot down.
Yeah. Also, to be a pilot, you had to work on. A special kind of person. In order to work on the aircraft, so not even be a pilot, workers had to be married between the age of 25 and 40 and had to go regular evaluations to determine that they were mentally stable.
It's basically like being an astronaut, yeah.
It's because they said that working on such advanced machine requires extreme attention to detail and supreme focus and maturity. The slightest of errors in maintaining the aircraft could lead to a catastrophe for the pilot, as well as anyone else involved in the plane's operation. Therefore, the US Air Force will only allow those who have proven themselves to be worthy to work on the Blackbird. That's mad.
Yeah, it's basically like most of the space programs.
And then the flight suit looked like a spacesuit because of the pressure suit.
It had to. There were such high. I feel like they were basically now like, where does our atmosphere end? Because I'm sure there was some story where one of them nearly, like, he got very close to leaving because it could go so high, so quickly.
It operates at around 80,000 feet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a quick look. Atmospheric limit is so on the Earth the limit is around 1890 kilometers, which is 59 to 62,000 above sea level. So at above atmospheric air pressure drops below 0.0618 or 6.3 kPa. So it is the Armstrong limit. So 63,000 feet, and they flew routinely at 80.
So it is technically a spacecraft.
Yeah. In its day, the SR-71 cost $33 million per unit, right? Lots of technology was specifically invented for it, but because it was made in the 60s, Kyle, and you're gonna fucking love this, right?
Yes.
It was £33 million plane. But because it was made in the 60s, it was completely analog. The cockpit.
The cock screen.
The cock screen is analog. So if you can see now on my screen share, a £33 million Mach 3 plane that flies out the Earth's atmosphere, totally analog cockpit.
It's just all dials. It's gorgeous.
So one of them went, mate, your pilot's fucked off, and he was like, oh shit.
That's the thing. There wouldn't have been like there wouldn't have been. He got one flashing red light, which is probably one of the tiny little red lights on the dash there. It probably wasn't even something big.
Yeah.
I love how many dials there are.
And you seen that's the fucking flight suit.
Yeah, because they were basically spacemen.
Do you know what it reminds us of? The bird out of Bioshock.
Yeah, I do feel like at some point, I know we've got the International Space Station and everything. If we ended up having 2 International Space Stations and you had to traverse between them, I do feel like it would just be a modified Blackbird.
Yeah. Did you see this? It needed to be refueled immediately after takeoff. Because all things tend to contract and expand with variations in temperature, many panels of the SR-71 were made to be very loose-fitting when cool temperatures. Because of this, the plane always leaked fuel when on the ground. It would be fueled before takeoff, leak everywhere, and then needed to be refueled once the plane heated up and the fuel cells properly sealed.
Because things expand
I can guarantee
and heat,
that.
Yeah, I would like to point out, I am not fat. I'm just extremely hot.
No, you're fat.
No, Jay, you can't use that excuse.
I'm using that excuse.
Although I will say,
me and Kyle being that loose.
I will be surprised if there isn't a case of the landing strip getting caught on fire because its engine set the fucking fuel it was leaking on fire.
Dude, just before being retired in 1990, it flew across the United States from coast to coast in 67 minutes 47 seconds, half the time of the previous record. Among its other records include an absolute speed record of 2,193.13 mile an hour, which it set on July the 20th, 1976, with only one engine.
Yeah, so in order to set an official record, that a plane needed to fly in both directions. One of the Blackbird's engines stopped working at the beginning of the second run, but according to the pilot, by the time we'd gone through the checklist, we'd already passed the second gate. Still, we exited the gate at Mach 3.2, so it was doing Mach 3.2 on one engine.
Yeah, so it was
That's
doing
how beautiful this plane is.
Sound on one engine.
I apologise for anyone listening if you're not into your military stuff, but even you must be impressed by the fact that a plane that has 2 engines managed to do Mach 3.2 with one engine and set records. And the pilots used to set records for fun when they were getting retired because fuck it, why not? It's on the way to get scrapped, why not?
So this one here says on the same day it also set the record for the absolute altitude, climbing to an astounding 85,066.997 feet above the Earth. So that's 20,000 feet outside the Earth's atmosphere, really.
Yeah, one of the pilots got cocky and decided, fuck it, we're going to space.
Yeah. So, well, we've crossed the fucking US in an hour. That's a record. We'll just go to space now.
Yeah, why not?
It's just, sorry, you try to move on before. I'll let you move on now.
It is. It's fine. So the thing that I'm talking about, my topic for space, it's just a quick one, nice and quick. It's to do with EVE Online. I'm sure everybody here will have had it advertised on YouTube.
I hate it already. I've never played it.
Right? I like the look of it, right?
No.
But there is a mini game in the game where players can help discover real-life exoplanets using data from the COROT telescope.
The carrot.
It's the Corot. So far, players of the game have discovered 37 real-life exoplanets. So it's legitimately being useful because there's a mini game in it which gets data from an actual real-life telescope looking for exoplanets, and players they know that gamers, as has been found in many different studies, we have the excellent ability to unravel DNA and do the weirdest shit. So far, the gamers of EVE Online have found 37 exoplanets in space that are real because they played a minigame. Which also leads to the fact, if you haven't heard of it, I didn't just say DNA for the fuck jiggery of it. There was literally a game that was implemented into a game. It was a DNA strand that people had to it was like a sort of challenge you had to try and decode, and scientists couldn't figure it out. They gave it to gamers, and we figured it out in less than a week.
Yeah.
Never say games are useless or people should stop playing video games. It is literally the future of scientific research.
I've got I've got a telescope. You want to talk about telescopes? It was built.
Can I just?
Yeah, go on.
Actually, yeah, you go, because my next one's about an asteroid.
It was built by the French in 1900.
Oh no!
Right, it's the Great Paris Expedition Telescope of 1900. Catchy name. It had an objective lens of 1.25 meters in diameter. It was the largest refracting telescope ever constructed. It was built to be the centerpiece of the Paris Universal Exhibition of 1900. Its construction was instigated in 1892 by Francois Deloncle, a member
Francois Deloncle.
Yes. Since it was built for exhibit purposes within a large metropolis, its design made it difficult to aim at astronomical objects. It was not suited for scientific use. When the year-long exposition was over, its builders were unable to sell it. It was ultimately broken up for scrap. The lenses are still stored at the Paris Observatory. They built this thing basically because they had the bit of scaffolding that they're proud of, right? And they were going to do something with that. They were like, how do we follow this up? They were like, right, we need to repaint. So they painted the tip of the Eiffel Tower for some reason. And then they decided to make the biggest telescope ever. And it was fucking huge. I don't know if you can see. I'm trying to line my camera up with you. You see, sorry, all the circles there are current telescopes. And you see the great outline.
Yeah.
That's how big that was.
So basically 10 times the size of any other telescope in the world.
So to put it into perspective, if I can just find it on here, because I did see it when I was looking, this little black dot here, this tiny one here.
Move it away and then talk. I can see it, but yeah, move it away, because your mic goes really silent when you put your phone up there for some reason.
That tiny little black dot is the Hubble Space Telescope. So that is the size difference of this thing. It was so big, they built it and they couldn't point it at the sky.
Fuck's sake.
So it was kind of suspended in a massive tunnel. And then they had to build a construction, like a set of mirrors basically on the front so that it would reflect.
Reflect, okay.
So that in a way that the telescope could see it. And the same year, I found that, you know what debuted back in Russia in the same event?
What?
Russian dolls,
Of course.
which apparently people openly mocked because they were stupid and what was the use of them. But I know what's still around today.
Yep. And I love them. They're great.
So yeah, the French built a big ass fucking telescope that they couldn't even point at the sky, and then they couldn't sell.
I want to talk about something that
An
is
asteroid.
fucking insane. It's an asteroid, yep. In March 1989, an asteroid passed through the exact position where Earth was only 6 hours earlier.
Ooh, so wasn't sorry, brain. I'm sure I've heard of this, and
yeah,
weren't there loads and loads and loads of meteor showers because of the dust trail of this asteroid? Because we passed through so soon after.
yeah. I think so. It says it's a sub-kilometer-sized asteroid, classified as a near-Earth object and potentially hazardous asteroid of the Apollo group, because it makes close orbital passes with Earth. Discovered on the 31st of March 1989 by astronomers, it was named after a Greek demigod of healing. It passed by Earth at a distance of about 425,000 miles. Although this exceeds the Moon's orbital radius, the close pass received attention at the time. On the cosmic scale of things, that was a close call. They estimated that the collision with it would release energy comparable to the explosion of a 600 megaton atomic bomb. The asteroid was discovered 9 days after its closest approach to the Earth. Subsequent discoveries revealed that a whole class of such objects exists. Close approaches by objects the size of it pass by every 2 or 3 years undetected until the start of computerized near-Earth object searches. On the 24th of March 2051, so we're getting closer, 20 years, lads, the asteroid will pass 1 million miles from the Earth. It will be the 8th pass of less than 30 GM in this century, and it shows that the uncertainty region of the asteroid will cause it most likely pass from 0.02 AU to 0.17 AU. So basically, they've got no idea exactly how far away it's going to be.
It's going to be a million miles away, though.
But it looks like it's getting further away every year, because when it's 1 million miles from Earth, it's 0.0123 AU. So it is increasingly getting further away every year.
Yeah.
So crisis averted, people, but there are asteroids that seemingly come close enough to scare scientists, apparently.
I would like to offer a chance for us to stop being nerdy and for me to bring Jane Jordan back into this with some more poo. I gotta loop back.
Oh, for fuck's sake, we stopped about shit.
I found a caterpillar. Right, just imagine you're a caterpillar. Right? Now, when a caterpillar poos, right, that can attract predators, and that's bad if you're a caterpillar because they're not very defensible. I mean, some of them are poisonous, but right. So you don't want to.
They don't have massive defenses.
So the last thing you want as a caterpillar is to have a poo and it be right next to you, and a predator smell it and go, "Well, I'm going to come and eat you." So, skipper caterpillars, right, have a flap below the pook hole, right?
Right.
And they build up the poo onto the flap and then build up blood pressure and fling the poo away.
I thought you were going to say they sort of hang off the edge and just shit off the edge of a leaf, which sounds much simpler.
So, I'm going to start with the start. Well, the start of the sentence is somebody's job title, which is evolutionary fecologist.
Oh God!
Martha Weiss,
what a job!
Of Georgetown University of Washington DC, began collecting skipper caterpillars to observe how they build leaf houses. That is until she heard a plink, plink, plink coming from the plastic shoeboxes that she kept them in. After observing the caterpillars ballistically eject grape nut-sized pellets of excrement known as frass. So caterpillar shit's called frass. She decided to investigate. So she found out that old caterpillars shoot at the furthest, and actually found one made 153 centimeter expulsion, right? Which, based on the caterpillar size, is the equivalent of a 76-yard field goal in football. So, for the size, I've worked this out, right? The average length of a double-decker bus, so your typical Route Master double-decker bus, is 30 feet, right?
All right.
76, where's that? 76 yards, right? Is 228 feet. So divided by 30 is the equivalent of a human throwing their shit 7.6 double-decker buses in length.
So it's like an Olympic shot put record.
It's beyond the Olympic shot put record. The shit put.
The shit put. I'm surprised that hasn't been done yet.
What, the shit put?
Oh, don't get Stefan started into inventing new sports. Last time you tried,
we can have loads of new sports.
No, last time Stefan went on and invented new sports, he wanted to catapult disabled people in wheelchairs.
I didn't want to catapult them. I just wanted to use a catapult-like object.
Device.
Like what you would use to launch a plane off an aircraft carrier, just to help them compete in things such as the long jump, the high
A slingshot.
jump. Well, I had a catch plan as well.
It is basically a slingshot. It's just
little bit.
two bits with an elastic bit that just slings them forward.
Well, yeah, but it was going to be controlled. I wasn't just going to fling them and see what happened.
Were you going to have a net at the end?
I don't know who a net is.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And I know this is totally unrelated, but I heard about some men who decided to. There's a group of men who were retired, decided to travel around and have one drink in every pub in the UK. They've done all 3,000 or something in Wales, right? And then they've done a few hundred in England, and then one of them died, another one was ill, they stopped doing it, and I was like, we could do this. We're young. Just took his headphones off. You can't yell.
I had an itch.
Hello.
Hello.
So I thought, we're young. They've started when they're retired. We could do this, right? We could do this, right? And I was like, Kickstarter, right here, fund it. We're going to go and have a drink in every pub.
In
then
one day.
Googles how many pubs are in Britain.
Is it something ridiculous like 1,000 per county?
Well, it's a little bit more than that. As of 2019, there were 47,200. Right?
Okay, how long would that take?
Well, that's my next port of call was 47,200 divided by 365 days. So this is assuming we can visit one pub every single day, including Christmas Day, right? It would take 129.3 years.
We can make it go a lot faster if we go to one pub, go to every single pub in one county in one day. Because Cow doesn't
would
drink.
Also be very inebriated.
Cow needs...
And not able to drive to the other places. Like, I could drive, but it would be me driving permanently.
Yeah.
You'd have to. 129 years, man.
Fuck's sake.
Challenge accepted.
Could we... Hold on a second.
Well, I know it's going to close down because of COVID anyway. I mean, if 40,000 will close down, we're going to try.
There's four of them, right?
Yeah.
So one of us takes the north, one of us takes the south, one of us takes the east, and one of us takes the west, and we'll meet in the middle.
That's not me and Stefan and John having a drink in every single pub in the UK.
I think what would class for the record as having a drink? Because if it's
one
just
pint.
like you've had a sip of beer, then that's fine.
No, one
if it's
actual
actually
drink.
Then I can't participate.
Right, hold on. 67.89. 67 divided by
Stefan's doing maths.
47,200.
While Stefan's doing maths,
Well,
there
hold on,
is a colour
I've done the
called
maths,
Vanta
right?
Black, which
So there are
is
67
exclusively owned by Anish Kapoor, and nobody else is allowed to use
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah.
as revenge, another artist created the pinkest pink, which everyone is allowed to use apart from Anish.
Yes, no, so the pinkest pink, this Anish said nobody's allowed to use it, and then he said, "Well, you're not allowed to use this, then, but everyone else can." So you could never paint the paint with the blackest black and the pinkest pink. But BMW did do a car Vanta black, so I'm assuming he let someone else use it, or he let BMW use it. But it's incredibly hard to create anyway.
Yeah.
Kyle, I've just worked
Yes.
out there are 67.89 million UK residents in the UK. Right, that's the current populace, yeah.
Yes.
And there are 47,200 pubs. Right.
Yes.
So if every single person in the UK all went to a pub at the same time, there would only be 1,438 people in each pub. That's not much. There's a pub for every 1,500 people.
I mean, that just sounds like an Ashington night out.
1,048 people in a pub.
Have you ever seen Bubbles?
Yeah, people are usually stuck to the ceiling because it's that mangy.
Mm-hmm. Alright.
So I tell every time I go to Bubbles, I tell the DJ it's John's birthday. He gets annoyed.
Hey, it's always a good laugh.
Yeah, it is.
Jordan.
It's currently muted.
I think it's muted.
What?
Don't you have anything you want to talk to us about?
I'll do it next week. I'm too tired.
That's the spirit.
Oh.
I do have one more thing.
Jordan did have a topic, but I feel like it might get me fired, so I said maybe find something else.
Yeah, I was annoyed. But it's, yeah, okay. I do have...
I mean, it's just because it's to do with a British school. If it was like another country school, it's fine. But I think because it's so close to home, because it's literally a Northumberland, it's a Northumberland school, so
it's not the one I thought of.
It's very close to me.
You know, fairness, that's not the
Kyle?
topic that John sent me.
Yeah, it's not the topic he sent me either, so he might have sent all different things to gain a gauge, so that nobody knew what he was talking about, which is quite a good tactic.
This is where Jordan tells us
Yeah,
that he
well done,
signed his
Jordan.
soul up to a cricket club and we all have to go.
Yeah, that's not what he said to me either.
Well,
No, he didn't tell me that.
okay, what did he send you? If he sent Kyle a school, what did he send you?
He sent Kyle to school, he sent you a
This is
cricket
like
thing.
a game.
Yeah, he sent me about basically an American being a twat.
Right, okay. He didn't say anything about me about cricket. He sent me something about pregnant, not giving you
Yeah.
for a pregnant woman.
Yeah, same.
So hold on a second. You sent those two something about pregnant women. And I got sent to school.
Yeah, well, you are the school person.
What's the pregnant thing then?
It's not next week.
Hold on a second. I need to double check through Jordan's messages and see if he sent me the thing to do with pregnant women.
Did you send him a John? He did send it.
Did you?
So,
When? Oh yes,
Yeah.
That was yesterday. Yeah, it's not the one you sent us today. It's the one. Yeah, okay, never mind. You can talk about the one you sent us yesterday. If you
No,
want.
next week.
Next week, okay. I get the feeling all of us may get a slap if we end up going one way or the other on
I
this.
mean,
so...
nobody's going to go that way, so I wouldn't worry about it. That's not how we were brought up. Anyway,
No, we were brought up as gentlemen.
Kyle,
Yes.
what is your favourite number in the world?
My favourite what?
Number.
88.
Really?
It's the one that I use for football and racing and all sorts because I just like it. It's the infinity sign times 2.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't think that was your
Basically.
favourite number.
Even numbers, I don't really have a favourite number. I just like even numbers, but 88 is like a really nice one.
What about a number that starts with a 6?
What, 666?
And why do you like that number?
Because it's nice and even, and it's also the number of the beast. Why?
But it's because it's not.
I know it's not the number of the beast. I know it's not the number of the beast. Everybody knows it's not actually the number of the
I
beast,
know,
but it is, but it's not, but it is, but it's not.
But it's not. So, there's been loads of things around the superstition of this. So in 1989, Nancy and Ronald Reagan moved to a home in Bel Air in LA, and after the 1988 election, he had his address, number 666 St. Cloud Road, changed to 668. The address of Chicago's American Furniture Mart building was changed by its new owner from 666 to 680. Route 666 in New Mexico was changed to US Route 491. And a New Mexico spokesperson said, "The devil's out of here. We say goodbye and good riddance." It's talking about all the kind of things. The Omen was released. The remake was released on the 6th of the 6th, 06. It's obviously in Pulp Fiction, End of Days, Final Destination, Phantom of the Opera, Iron Maiden's song Number of the Beast. Most women expressed serious concern about giving birth on the 6th of June 2006 because it was 6606. November 2013, Cody Thacker, a cross-country runner at Whitley County High School in Williamsburg, Kentucky, refused to run in her Kentucky High School Athletic Association regional meet, forfeiting a chance to qualify for the state championships when her coach drew bib number 666.
Jay, that's too blurry to read, but I think I sort of I can read a tiny bit of it.
But basically, there's loads. Anyway, in October 2017, flight AY666 from Copenhagen to Helsinki departed for the last time before being renamed AY954. Since 2006, the flight had been scheduled on Friday the 13th on 21 occasions. The Finnair spokesperson said that the number had not been renamed due to superstitious passengers. I bet. But basically, it's because it's in the Bible and everything. And when it's translated, in Greek numerals, the three numbers represent 600, 60, and 6, so 666. The Book of Revelations in the New Testament, it's all written in English translations as 666. That's what everyone knows it as. But Papyrus 115 is the oldest preserved manuscript of the Revelation, was discovered in 2017, and it gives the number of the beast in Arabic numerals, which translates to 616, not 666. So everyone's wrong. On Papyrus 115, the revelation of the 66th volume of Oxyrhynch has the number of the beast as 616. Oxyrhynchus? I think that's the word. So yeah, so there's so much art and pop fiction. I've just made a word up, haven't I? Pop culture. That's because I read Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction's probably a real thing, honestly.
Yeah, but there's so much in pop culture and in art and in history and in poems and in films and in everything. Historically, that 666 is the number of the beast. It's bad, it's evil, it's the demonic number, and it's not. It's 616. We just hadn't found the bit that told that yet.
Freddo.
I don't know if Jay's talking to us, but he's silent. Yeah, no, Jay, you're completely silent.
Jordan's muted for a reason, but...
No. Plug in. Say your plugs. Oh, he's gone.
Hello.
So
Hello.
it was all wrong.
Hello, we can hear you now.
Hi.
Right, in China, they have a thing called a Chinese internet slang, which refers to various kinds...
It's the numerisms.
Which refers to various kinds of internet slang used by people of Chinese internet. It is often coined in response to events, the influence of mass media and foreign culture, and desire of users to simplify and update the Chinese language. Slang that first appears on the internet so often adapted to become current in everyday life. It includes content relating to all aspects of social life, mass media, economics, and political topics. And that, like the internet slang, arguably is the fastest changing aspect of the language, created by a number of different influences, technology, mass media, and foreign culture, among others. The categories given below are extensive mixed terms of 2000 now used to distinguish the difference of Chinese internet slang. Some phrases may belong in more than one category. It's what Kyle said, it's new ones. And basically, in China, 666 is you're doing amazing, sweetie. That's what it means in China, on Chinese internet. You're doing amazing, sweetie.
I didn't know that Kyle used to call me sweetie so much.
And 777 is basically just one better than that. It's like saying you're doing amazing, but you're doing really good. Because isn't it meant to be like it's the Chinese for 666 means smooth or slick?
Slick Rick, like your hair, video.
Alright. But anyway, we're gonna wrap it up here.
Yeah.
We'll probably talk more about the Chinese numeralisms next week because I do find them interesting. Jay's brought it to my attention, and it does look really good because basically there's a shit ton of shortcuts and numeralisms and stuff that nobody else seems to use.
Yeah.
So we might do a bit more on it next week. But thank you very much for listening. It has been a pleasure. We did go a little bit sort of, I don't know, it was weird and wonderful things that have happened in sports, and then it went into space, but we also had a bit of museum and stuff.
Well,
So I hope you've enjoyed.
I will say that when we did very first start this podcast, it was just we talk so much shit. We should record it, and that's what it's been. It's just been one of our random trolls through the internet that we used to have.
Yeah, we have talked so much shit. We have talked so much shit that includes actual shit.
Yeah.
This time.
We might be featured in a
And
museum. Door.
We're featured in a museum. He's throwing the cats out.
can you imagine if we got featured in a museum?
Yeah, we'll definitely be in a museum at some point, but it'll not be for the right reasons.
No, definitely not. Anyway, thank you very much for listening, everybody. It has been a pleasure. Jay will do the whole spiel.
Oh, why
but
do I have
catch
to do
us
this
on
spiel?
Spotify because you're the only one who can actually remember it.
You know.
Go to TakenOffAir.com to find us, all of our little bits and pieces.
And links.
We've got episodes up. We've got episodes up there. We've got shops. We've got links to everything that you could possibly need. We've got Facebook. We've got. Do we have Instagram? I'm sure we've got Instagram. We've got Instagram. We've got Twitter. Check them all out. We've got our actual website with links to everything. But you can also find us on Google. Whatever the podcast thing for Google is, I'm sure there's a Google thing because I found one the other day.
Google Podcast.
Kyle, you can
Google
find
Podcast,
us anywhere that you normally listen to podcasts. We're on everything.
Yes,
We are
that's the one.
multi-platform.
Ask your smart device to listen to us. Because
Ask your
If
spirit
you-
guide.
if you're
We're
that
on the
daring.
astrological plane. You'll be able to find them there as well.
Yeah, if you're that daring. One day we'll be on the radio with our own radio station, just so we can fuck up your day even more.
Yes, one day we will, and the next day the radio station will be shut down.
welcome to Taking Off Air's first episode. Why is there a police outside?
Right, let's wrap it up before Jay has to leave.
Well, my Chinese came, so I'm gonna have some Chinese.
Ooh.
What, the police brought you Chinese?
No, I'm just using expressivism to like say what would happen. Anyway, as Kyle says, just go to our website, TakenOffAir.com.
You sound so defeated.
Just look. Just use your eye. You have the ability to read. Use your eyes and read the description of every single episode. Read the description of a podcast. Everything's there.
Jay.
What?
Just search Taken Off Air podcast.
What if a
and you'll
blind
find
person's listening to it? You're just saying just use your eyes. You can read.
We will send you a braille version of our social media
for
links
fuck's sake.
with a Freddo.
I do want to make a braille book anyway.
Oh,
But yes, we'll finish there. Thank you very much for listening, and goodbye from these four idiots.
Yeah, and thank you to everyone that supports me in various ways.
Yes,
We'll see you next
it
week.
is always good.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.